everybody, and welcome to our last gathering number 5 of the free telecourse series offered here at Loving Birth Organization. I finally kind of got the lighting figured out, and I'm sorry it took until the last one for that to happen, but hopefully we'll be able to have more of these, and it's just been so wonderful to do this with all of you. So thank you so much for participating. And the song for this gathering was so much fun. I love that Beatles song so much. I'm Looking Through You. Hope you enjoyed it. And that's really just a super profound song in my opinion. And just a great rhythm and everything, classic. So the poem for this telecourse gathering is Life Without a Story, but Nothing Would Be Left. Talk about true freedom from the worries of so-called death. So that can be a little intimidating or not. But it's really just kind of alluding to what happens if we just totally let go of our story of ourselves in this moment and our story of the world in this moment. It's really, there's no longer a journey even to be on. It's just right here. It's fully now. And so many children are able to just constantly be living in this way. And I think as mothers and parents in general, we have a great gift to be able to witness this in our children and be able to actually embody that ourselves too, and while at the same time being able to use our conceptual mind when we would like to, rather than being possessed by its obsessive thinking all the time. So I'm going to read a little bit we did chapters 15 to 17 for this gathering, and I was talking a little bit about just my opinion of the world at this day and age, and I will start on page 75. It says, "This afternoon I am out raking bamboo leaves to mulch our front gardens. If I look straight ahead into the dense thicket, I feel like a giant panda deep inside some enchanted Asian forest. For some reason, though, I can't stop thinking about the conditions of our planet. The problems seem endless. The world is home to crime and conflict. It's polluted by money-driven lifestyles and industrialization. The list goes on, and I start to get discouraged. I don't want to participate in this global madness, yet I feel a pressure to join the race in order to survive. This is one of the most common dilemmas for me. I feel it as a tightness or a pressure in my shoulders and around my heart, a choking in my throat and an unease in my belly. At one point, I didn't even want to have children because I felt the world was not good enough to bring a baby into. Maybe this is personal, or maybe it's gender-based opinion that many other women carry with them as well. Regardless of how it manifests, there is one common belief. The outer circumstances in my life are the cause of my suffering. Nevertheless, I'm interested in being a responsible and dependable mother, so I want to see through this personal trend of disempowerment." So, wow. My outer circumstances are the cause of my suffering. That is so disempowering. It's just incredible how we grow up believing that other things actually make us feel a certain way, when it's really always our choice to respond and to interpret things and analyze them how we desire, or just not at all. And this is what we're talking about here, is what about when we don't have a story? What if we just observe without adding a narrative? And this will lead us to activity 1. It's called Problem Free Me. And so we'll do this really briefly. Find a comfortable and quiet place. Set your timer for at least 10 minutes. Take slow, deep breaths. 3. Feel your contact to the ground, to the earth. Watch and observe your thoughts. And this can be pretty fun to do. Watch how many thoughts you have about you. What you just experienced. What you're feeling right now. What you're worried about. your plans, what you will do later today or about this situation or that. See what happens if just for a moment you decide you're going to stop thinking about you. See what happens. If you don't have a story about you in the past, present, or future, do you have any problems to think about? This is all an exploration. So we just went through that so quickly, but this is what you're going to do in your own time, is really sit there, and you could sit there even for 30 minutes or longer and really see, oh, a thought about me. Oh, a thought about me. And see how many times you do that, and just kind of start to bring your awareness to, okay, that's just another thought about my image of myself. So what would there be if there weren't just constant thoughts or worries or things to think about involving myself? And that kind of expands and opens up a whole new realm of possibilities. So it says here, if we're going to feel safe and comfortable in the world, we need to feel safe and comfortable with who we are before our story of ourselves. And that's the point of this activity. It really expands us beyond our self-perception into the mental realm when it's not just about us, because that's really what the process of pregnancy shows us is, wow, this, especially if it's your first child, this is not just about me anymore. I'm bringing a new being onto this planet, and how can I work together and serve this being and also contribute to the world that it's going to be growing up in a beneficial way, rather than in a way that hasn't been working for me or for other people and that isn't contributing to peace. How can I really, really live in contentment and contribute to that with other people? And so this brings us to the next activity, dropping the world story. And this is really neat. I just want to say something really quick, because I often, I've heard families joke about your child's not eating at the dinner table, and you say, there are people starving on this planet, and and there's something really powerful about doing that to bring perspective, especially if you've seen that that's going on. But there's also an experience that I had with my son that's been really neat around this. When I've tried to do that to him at different times, just kind of joking around, he goes, that's not true. I don't see that. And I know he has a limited perspective because he hasn't traveled to places where that's going on. But there really does feel like there's some truth to that. What are we really believing, and what do we see in our experience, and what are we creating through what we're believing? And so dropping the world story, this activity is all about that. It says, similarly to how we drop the story about the person or situation that upset us in the previous gathering, one of the previous gatherings, we'll now do this for the world. How do you feel about the earth we live on, the country or state you live in, the town? How is it that two people in the same town can have completely different daily experiences? One person may believe the world is scary, a cold place filled with heartless people, and that will be their experience. Another may feel that things always go their way and people are usually good-hearted, and that's going to be their experience. So now it's time to recognize your story. If you're enjoying your story and it's working for you, then great. Skip down below to the affirmation. But if your story could be better, now it's your time to play. Create your story of the world that you want to live in. What beliefs, if you're going to have any beliefs, do you want to raise your children into? What's your truth? Imagine that you haven't heard any of the stories going on about the world today. What's your daily truth? And is it something that's malleable? Is it something that you can change and see the effect of the changes that you're making just in your belief system? So when we go into that rest, the still place, we kind of have a blank slate, and we have an opportunity to recreate a world if we would like to, or we can just experience it from that blank slate and see what that's like. But if we're going to hope and believe, then might as well do so for something that's good and that feels good and that feels like it's what we want to move toward, instead of a repetition of what we think the world has been like. So the affirmation is going to be, I believe the world is a friendly and safe place. And as you're saying this one to yourself, repeating it out loud however many times you want to throughout the day, at the beginning of every day. Look into the mirror even and say it. It can be really super powerful. As you're saying it, really feel it. Really feel what it would feel like to believe that the world is a friendly and safe place. And spend time deepening into this, and then see what magic unfolds in your day. See what your experience is like. And we're going to take a little break now, and we'll come back to finish up with the last activity, the last art project. So.